Hi lovelies, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I'm back with another video. So in today's video I'll be giving you the tutorial for making this poncho. It's a hooded poncho. It has a hoodie. That is how it looks from the back and from the front, and it's very beginner friendly, so stick around. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the like button, leave a comment so that I can know where to improve on. Okay, let's get right into the video. Our poncho will be in these 4 colors, and for this project we'll be using the 4.5mm hook. We're also going to need some stitch markers. So let's get right into the video. For this project I am using the 3-ply chunky yarn from Seal, and to start off with the project I'm going to make a chain of 60. I'm going to make a slip stitch, then chain 60. So here are my chains. There are 60 chains. So I'm going to join it. I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and you have to make sure that your project is straight. For the first row, we are going to make double crochets all round. So we are going to have a total of 60 double crochets. So you chain 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, insert in the very first chain space, pull through once, pull through twice, yarn over, the next chain space, pull through once, pull through twice. So we are going to make these double crochets all around until we meet at the end. So let us meet at the end. I've gotten to the end of our first row, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch to mark the end of that first row. So that is what you should be having. Our next step is to mark the center by counting 30 double crochets in each side, and we are going to mark using our stitch marker. So I've marked my center. Onto our second row, we are going to make clusters of double crochets. So we are going to chain 4. We're going to chain 4, turn our work, then make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. After a cluster of 3 double crochets, we'll be making 1 chain, and then we continue with the same pattern. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, then we chain 1. We move on, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. So we are going to continue with that pattern until we get to our first half. So let us meet at this first half. We are getting to the end of our first half. We have 3 chain spaces remaining. So 1, 2. We're going to remove the stitch marker. 3. And to mark our first corner, we are not going to chain 1 like you've been chaining here before. We are going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and that marks our first corner. Then we continue with the same pattern. Chain 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, another cluster of double crochets, 1, 2, 3. So we are going to continue with that pattern until we meet at this second part. We are getting towards the end, so we are going to make a cluster, another cluster of double crochets, 1, 2, and then we are going to join using a slip stitch to mark our second corner. That marks the end of our second row. You've made 3 double crochets, then 1 chain space, 3 double crochets. So you have made clusters of 3 double crochets with 1 chain space in between. Onto our third row, we are going to form a slip stitch, then chain 3, chain 2 double crochets in that chain space, so that you have a cluster of 3. Remember, this is our first corner, so we are going to chain 2, and in that very same chain space we are going to make another cluster of 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. So we have formed our first corner. Then in the next chain space, after every cluster of 3 double crochets, we are going to make 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Onto the next chain space, 1, 2, 3. We are going to continue with that same pattern until we get to the first half. So let us meet at this first half. Once we get to our second corner, we are going to form 2 clusters of 3 double crochets and 2 chains in between. So we are going to form our first cluster, 1, 2, 3, and then you are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and that in that very same space we are going to form another cluster of 3 double crochets, 2, 3. So that's our second corner. Then you are going to continue with the same pattern we had before, that is forming clusters of 3 double crochets in each chain space that we have until we get to the end of our third row. So let us meet at the end of row 3. We have gotten to the end of our row 3, and you are going to finish up the row by forming a slip stitch. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, and in the third chain you're going to form your slip stitch. We are going to make 2 other slip stitches so that you can get to our first corner. 2, 3, and then we're just going to cut our yarn, since at this point we are going to change the colors. So that is what you should be having up to that point, the first 3 rows. This is our second color, so we are going to form a slip knot. Then in our first corner we are going to insert our hook, insert our slip knot, tighten it, and then make a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you are going to form another double crochet. 1. So keeping in mind that this is our first corner, we are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and in the very same chain space we are going to make another cluster of 3 double crochets. 3. And then you are going to move to our next chain space, form a cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Onto our next chain space, form 3. 1, 2, 3. And you are going to continue with that very pattern until you get to the second center, up to this point. So let us meet at this point. This is what we have, and you are getting to the second center. So once you get to the center, we are going to form 2 clusters of double crochet with two chains in between. So the first cluster, 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to chain 2 to mark our corner. 1, 2. Then we chain in the very same chain space. We are going to chain 3, 2, 3. So that is what we have. You can see that our poncho is starting to form. We are going to continue with that same pattern until we have a satisfactory length. And as for this poncho, we are going to be interchanging the colors after every 3 rows. So let us meet at row 12. This is currently row 4. Let us meet at row 12 to see the progress. After 12 rows of work, this is what we have, and it's coming out beautifully. So you're going to continue with the same pattern until you have your satisfactory length. So let us meet at the end. After 20 rows of work, this is what we have. I like how the color combination came out looking like. It's so gorgeous to me. So we have come to the part whereby we want to add the hoodie, and when you're adding the hoodie, we're just going to identify the center or the middle. So we start by identify the middle. This is the middle. With this being our middle, we are going to skip 2 double crochets on each side. So on this side you are going to skip 1, 2, and on this side you are going to skip 1, 2. Yeah, so our first stitch is going to be on the 3rd stitch from the center. So 1, 2, 3. So we're just going to insert our hook, take our yarn and pull through. Chain 1. So this one is going to count as our first stitch. Then you are going to make clusters of 3 double crochets, and between each cluster we are going to chain 1. So that's our first stitch. 2, 3. So this is our first cluster. So we are going to chain 1, and then we continue another cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, then we chain 1. So far we have 2 clusters. We are going to continue with that same pattern until we get to this very other end. So let us meet at the end. We have gotten to the end of our first row, and remember to leave 2 stitches. So to move to our second row, we are going to chain 1, that is two chains, then we turn our work, and in our very first chain space after the first cluster, we are going to make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. In our next chain space after the next cluster, we are going to make other 3 double crochets. 2, 3. In the next chain space, we form other 3 double crochets, and we are going to continue with that same pattern until we get to the very next end. So let us meet at this end. This is what we've got after the second row. So we are going to continue working with the same pattern until we have a suitable length for our hoodie. So let us meet at the end. So I've made a total of 18 rows for the hoodie part, and that is how it looks like. So to finish up on the hoodie part, we're just going to use our darning needle to join the top part. So you're just going to take your yarn and put it in the darning needle. Then you're going to align your 2 parts together. And then you join using your darning needle. And our hoodie part is done. This is how it looks like. And the whole project is done too. Now you can decide whether you want to steam block your project or whether you want to leave it like that. As for this project, I'm going to steam block, and then I'm going to show you the results. Yeah, but there is your multicolored poncho, stylish poncho.